Welcome to Orbit Deniers. My name is Tim Anderson. I'm going to tell you something you've probably never heard. Let's talk about what's called the Milankovitch cycle and the Earth's elliptical orbit around the Sun and how it controls our climate. Our elliptical orbit goes from 94.5 million miles to 91.4 million miles around the Sun. At 94.5, we have ice ages known as glacier maximums. At 91.4 million miles from the Sun, the northern hemisphere is glacier free, also known as glacier minimums. The Earth's climate is controlled by its orbit around the Sun and its elliptical nature. When we're closer to 94.5 million miles, the northern hemisphere is covered in ice. That's called a glacier maximum. Now, when we get closer to the Sun, those glaciers melt. They've melted 20 consecutive times. We're in the 21st consecutive glacier minimum. The previous 20 times, the northern hemisphere has been glacier free. Now, politicians like AOC tells you that man-made global warming or man-made CO2 causes the glaciers to melt. Why does she say that? Because man-made CO2 is a fundraising vehicle. You can make money off man-made CO2. By the way, every human being that breathes makes man-made CO2. You inhale oxygen, you exhale CO2. Plants breathe in CO2, they create oxygen. You eliminate CO2, you kill all the plants, you kill all the food, you kill all the oxygen. So the Green New Deal is a pathway to death to all the plants on the planet and all the humans while you're at it. Now, let's go back to the Earth's elliptical orbit and what's known as the Milankovitch cycle. That cycle says that our elliptical orbit between 94.5 million miles and 91.4 million miles controls the glacier maximums and glacier minimums. The reason the glaciers started melting 17,000 years ago is because we got close enough to the Sun for the glaciers to melt. There are other factors along with that. The Earth has a wobble. The wobble is why we have winter, spring, summer, and fall. Sometimes during our wobble cycle, there's a wobble cycle, it's quite long. That wobble cycle allows the Earth to go through massive climate differences. When we're more upright, the northern hemisphere is significantly warmer. When we're tilted farther away, the northern hemisphere gets a lot more ice. During our 100,000-year elliptical orbit, we go through a change in winter, spring, summer, fall because of the change in our wobble. Nothing to do with man-made global warming, nothing to do with human activity. The Earth has gone through this cycle multiple times. Milankovitch did the majority of work that proves all this. You've never heard his name because if you knew the truth about the Earth's climate cycle and the Earth's orbit and the link, there'd be no need to donate to environmentalists. There would be no link between man-made CO2, a fundraising vehicle for environmentalists, and the Earth's climate, because the Earth's climate is controlled by its orbit. And since the orbit can't write you a check, the orbit can't be the cause of Earth's climate issues. Even though the environmentalists cannot explain the last 20 ice ages and 20 warm ages, and they cannot tell you why the glaciers started melting 17,000 years ago. That is due to the Milankovitch cycle in the Earth's elliptical orbit around the Sun. When we get closer to 91.4 million miles, which we're not at yet, the glaciers melt. As we get farther away, closer to 94.5 million miles, the northern hemisphere freezes solid. The oceans are going to rise and the glaciers are going to melt for the 21st consecutive time, and there's nothing we can do about it. My name is Tim Anderson. This is Orbit Deniers. I'm a public speaker. Please book me. If you want to debate Earth's climate and man-made global warming, I look forward to it. Reach out to me at orbitdeniers.com. Thank you.